Behind Bethel music, you have the theology of Bill Johnson from Bethel Church in Redding, California. These things do not exist in isolation. They come out of specific movements or specific churches. Okay? Behind, what is this? Elevation worship. Behind elevation worship is Stephen Furtick, the narcissist, right? Some people have termed him a narcissist. Stephen Furtick, who reads himself into every passage in the Bible. All right? Behind Jesus culture, you have Banning Liebischer here, who is something of a protege of Bill Johnson and right out of that same movement. So just as a foundation, all right, behind Hillsong is Brian Houston. Behind all of these artists and behind all of these bands is a specific theology. And it seems to be that the most important thing, the theology, is the thing that is most neglected. Banning Liebischer. Let's start here. Jesus culture. Many of you are familiar. Many of you sing their songs. Kim Walker-Smith. There's Chris Quilala. Chris Quilala. What is Jesus culture?
Tell us, what's Jesus culture? What is at the heart of Jesus culture?
Jesus culture is a movement that is all about raising up revivalists in the earth.
And actually never officially was called Jesus culture. It's actually the name of the movement.
Now, by the way, this is them at the Hillsong Conference in 2011. There's a promo for the 2012 conference the following year, but they've all been friends. All of these large groups have been friends for quite some time. So Jesus culture, as Kim Walker-Smith said, is a movement that's all about raising up revivalists in the earth. Whatever that means. All right.
I'm Bay Leacher, and I'm here with Bill Johnson, our senior pastor, author, teacher, preacher, all-around good guy.
One of our senior
Okay.
associates was just praying like, Lord, why'd you choose Redding?
Right.
And the Lord said, he said, I didn't choose Redding, I chose Bill.
Okay. Just to provide some foundation for those who, for some reason, might not know anything about this, and you should. Bethel Music, these are the people behind it, right? So they're talking a lot about Bill Johnson. God didn't choose Redding, California. He chose Bill Johnson. All right? There's just a little taste of who Bill Johnson is.
The feathers started just appearing and falling in meetings, and then they started falling in our homes and in restaurants and things like that, just unusual things. So, you know, there are signs that make you wonder. We'll have wind that will, gust of wind that I'll get hit with, and hands for years.
What was it of this?
And we've had gold dust appear in people's hands for years. I don't ever talk about it, but frequently during worship, we actually had it today. Benny and I both saw gold will start falling during worship. This time I think it started falling during our prayer time.
Okay. This is not just wrong. This is insane. Okay? Bill Johnson, I don't know that the word false teacher is strong enough, but that's the word we're going to use. He casually talks about feathers just appearing in people's homes, and we've had it for years, gold dust just appearing in people's hands, and a gust of wind and a glory cloud, and this is the tip of the iceberg. Bill Johnson is a man who says that if your gospel doesn't include mandatory physical healing, it's a false gospel, which is ironically a false gospel proclaimed by him. I hope you're familiar to some degree already with Bethel, but just to provide some foundation, the man behind Jesus culture and Bethel music is this, meaning that those singers, Kim Walker-Smith and Kim Quilala, believe this insanity. And therefore, to have any form of fellowship, even the pretense of fellowship with those who are teaching such insanity, is to commit effective treason against Jesus himself. God is seeking those to worship him in spirit and in truth. You don't get to divorce truth from the equation, and you don't get to start singing worship with radically false theology. The God that they worship and the gospel they proclaim is false. By his own definition, if you don't proclaim mandatory healing in your gospel, it's a false gospel. This is Jesus culture and Bethel music. These are the leaders behind it. This is the theology they bring to the table, and that will eventually, inevitably, seep through their mantras, seep through their like a river, constantly. Well, what does that even mean? You see the same thing in Hillsong. Spirit lead me, Spirit lead me. 8 cycles in a row.